feels a bit redundant to be casting if DreamHack's over.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, I mean, we're going to be casting this game. It's Fnatic against Alliance. Game number 3. Fnatic, they get their hands on a Nature's Prophet for the 2nd game in a row. And honestly, I think that's a really big deal when you're a team like Fnatic, because it's always nice to have that fallback plan of being able to transition into maybe a more split push-oriented style and not just have all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, this kind of draft is kind of what I was hoping was going to happen at the start of this, because in game number 1, we saw Alliance play their style. In game number 2, we saw Fnatic play their style. And now, I want to see both of them play their styles equally just as good. And when you have a Batrider and a Venomancer already in here for Alliance, the first time the Venomancer gets in the hands of Alliance, and then you have a Weaver and a Prophet in the hands of Fnatic, you are looking at Rat versus Initiate Control.
Well, there's that head-to-head, by the way, EGM against Fly. EGM 6-1. But it is often very close, and if you look, I mean, denies.
Hey, man. Fly's got 0.2 less deaths again.
He does. But, I mean, look at the differences between assists. It's, you know, 0.8. Goal per minute is less than, well, what was that, about 50, 60? There's not much in it.
Yeah. Well, for me, like Toby had just mentioned, split push versus potentially being able to initiate, giving S4 a Batrider, that's like one of the best ways to stop what.
And one of his best heroes. So, yeah.
So you want to stop Fnatic doing what they did in the 2nd game, which is win the laning phase pretty hard. I would say 2 lanes went really favorably for them. Bottom was kind of 50-50 between Bulldog and Trixi in that 1v1. So for this game, giving S4 an opportunity to stop that kind of split push and just take fights on their own terms, that's something that I think Alliance are going to be pretty heavily favored for.
Yeah. Okay. And, I mean, Nature's Prophet and Weaver, obviously they just won with those heroes.
Yeah.
Do you think they've just decided, well, this worked, we'll do it again?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it leaves you a lot of options in terms of what you can do. The only thing that you can say about the 2 heroes together is that it is slightly greedy, because both Prophet and Weaver need a pretty decent chunk of farm before they really start reaching their full momentum. So these types of lineups, when you see those first 2, that's why you see things like Chen banned, because it's like, well, it's really susceptible to early game push. The thing that I'm kind of surprised is both teams have pretty much ignored Pugna. Like, Pugna is usually great against lineups where you see Nature's Prophet and Weaver, because you can just come and dunk the ground and kill towers.
Indeed.
It's really good. But they've kind of just been not favoring it so much in this particular draft. And Bounty Hunter banned out as well.
Yeah.
It's really nice against split push, because you can set up the opening for the Batrider to go in.
Right.
It's like, okay, when I'm tracked, I don't really want to split push anymore, because if I get close to a tower, S4 can just jump me, even in fog, because I'll be tracked.
Indeed. And we've seen both teams have done, well, both victories. Bounty Hunter was key in both of them.
Yeah, I'd actually say that the last game, the Bounty Hunter was helpful, but it wasn't necessarily key. I think No-Tail had kind of struggled during the early game.
It was Hani, I think. Hani was the bigger factor.
Well, Hani and Era too, actually. I think they both played really nicely in that game.
Mirana.
Yeah, Mirana.
I have not played a fucking game of Dota 2 since MLG without coming up against Mirana, and it is pissing me off, and I'm starting to dislike her.
Mirana is one of those core heroes who doesn't always have to be played as a core. You know, it's like Alchemist, basically.
Right.
A lot of people have been making that conversion to Alchemist support lately, and some people do the same thing with Mirana, where you're saying, okay, you know, I can just arrow. If I land an arrow, we can fight. I know Team Liquid does that as well. Like, Fluff loves playing the support Mirana, and he just shoots off arrows, and hey, if it lands, then you get a free kill, basically. Yeah. It's really nice.
But with Alliance, they like to play a different way. They like to have Loda on that Mirana more often than not.
Yeah.
And he likes to use the arrows to scout around to see if he can fight. If it does latch, fantastic. Then they jump in, and he knows he can jump in with a lot of extra damage. And then you got a Batrider jump in right behind you, and you got a Venomancer as well. And I wouldn't really see it being a support hero, because you're lacking like a straight-up stun. It's a skill shot stun coming out from the Mirana. And while you do have Batrider in the mix to also have a level of control, you're still going up against a Weaver and a Prophet. You need a way to jump in, chase, and control these guys. And now you add a Lich to the field as well, a hero who we haven't even seen banned or picked, I believe, so far.
No, not yet. I've kept my eye out, and I was talking to some of the beta guys, or beta, as you say in America. Beta guys. And they were saying, with regards to Lich, I was trying to tell them he needs more buffing. Like, he needs to be like 350 base move speed, and like maybe Frost Armor is permanent and more bounces. And they said I was full of shit, and they told me to shut up. But they also said that maybe he's a little bit overvalued. Do you know what I mean? And you've been saying that. When I was at the good house, you guys were saying, the Lich is good, but I think people think too much of him. But to me, you win a lane. You stick him in a lane, you win the lane. As long as he doesn't die, the lane is won.
The thing is, it can be detrimental to deny your own creeps in some situations. Even if you're taking away experience and getting your own experience from using the sacrifice every single creep wave, if you're against, say, a lone druid or a hero dies in your lane and then suddenly your creep wave is always at your tower because you're always using sacrifice, then it becomes a lot easier to just get a kill into, oh, look, we're right next to their tower. So that's why I think a lot of people figure him maybe a bit overvalued. And because of the fact that you're picking a hero with the sole purpose of just winning a lane, like, there are other heroes in the game who can do that, like Crystal Maiden. But you win the lane for a different reason. You win because
also,
you have aggressive
the win rate for Lich, you know, that guy that posted that thing where he'd come up with a way of analyzing the win rates over time for every hero in the game. Lich's win rate, once you get to about 45 minutes, an hour, sorry, it was around an hour, it plummets. If you have a Lich in your team, it's like, well, I mean, they seem to think, well, Frost Armor's awesome. Frost Armor's awesome. It's one of the best spells, you know, late game to stick it on everybody. It's awesome. But Lich dies. Everybody's got BKBs, a pipe. He does nothing. Sand King hits the same brick wall.
Yeah. But that's the kind of the trade-off you have when you have a Lich. You're getting your early game control. You get the ability to run really strong lanes and really frustrating lanes to play up against, especially when you're running now what is a double deny lane. Like, you've got Enigma and Lich denying off creeps. They can shut down the entire, well, almost an entire first wave. And then you're doing that kind of stuff up against Lone Druid, who's always looking for CS. He's always looking for levels. He's looking for farm. If I was Alliance right now, and you see the greed coming out from Fnatic, like, you're talking about Prophet and Weaver getting greedy. You add a Lich into that, so you don't have counter push, and then you add an Enigma into that, who really you don't have counter push. And then you got a Lone Druid, a Venomancer, a Mirana, and a Batrider. You got initiation possibilities, you got pushing and control possibilities. If they get something like a Latrakas, this last one, for something that can help them push down towers, which could have come through something like a Chen or Enchantress, but they've both been banned out. Alliance could just start to melt through Fnatic's defenses, and you will never have to worry about Lich being late game because you'll never reach it.
I really like Alliance's lineup here so far compared to Fnatic's.
It seems very well rounded. Whereas Fnatic, they don't necessarily have a frontline hero. The Lone Druid Bear is the thing that you just send out in front and you're like, okay, absorb damage.
Be the beef.
We will hit buildings and we will kill them. That's kind of what the game plan is for him at the moment. But for Fnatic, I want to see a Lich mid, man. Lich mid.
Let's do it, baby.
Lich mid, last pick VS, and be done with it.
I'd at this point prefer to see him have some kind of team fight control and see him with a Magnus or something along these lines.
Well, I mean, they've got the Enigma. My problem with the Enigma pick is that so far in the Dream League, we haven't seen a good Enigma. I don't think we've had a game where Enigma's performed.
Enigma's a really rough hero to play. That's why I'm saying Magnus or something like that, because you need to have a setup for Enigma to be amazing. The chance of catching everyone out of position is very, very low, especially in the early stages. You need something to set up right now. Lich, Weaver, Prophet, they all don't set up for the Enigma to get a wonder hole. The only thing you could look at beyond that is Enigma having a lot of time inside the jungle to farm up mech, Blink Dagger, so he can jump in and he can do the stuff he wants to do. But that means you need time. And you don't have time up against heroes like Lone Druid, Mirana, and Batrider, because they'll come, they'll try and gank you up, and we get a very old classic combination from Alliance. The Ogre Magi gets to come up from Alliance.
Ogre
Bloodlust,
McGee.
man.
Ogre McGee.
Bloodlust, really strong
Bloodlust's on a
spell.
bear. Oh, a night dude. Cool.
So there's the frontline hero. That they were looking
there
for.
he is.
They needed something to absorb damage. Like, they didn't have any hero who can really stand out in the front. And not only that, but they have a very hard time punishing for kills. So now they have a Night Stalker. They can actually dive with this type of a lineup between the Weaver and the Night Stalker and Prophet. If you find a solo kill, you're most of the time going to be able to secure it with these types of heroes. And then on the back of something like an Enigma and Nature's Prophet, pushing the tower afterwards becomes very easy. So both lineups have the capability of taking the early game, but I still kind of want to say that Alliance's, I feel, is a bit stronger. I feel like their ease of execution is going to be a little bit, well, easier.
Good sentence.
Shut up. Get out.
Well, what I want to see here from Alliance, though, is with this lineup, the laning that comes out from them. Because they can run Lone Druid on this bottom lane. You're now going out with a Prophet on the off lane, you get a nice Stalker in the mid, and you got Weaver up on the top. If they want to, they can just see a full-on aggression. You go for the stun from the Ogre, you got the follow-up arrow from the Mirana, and you got a large amount of damage and control, which will also come out from EGM. They have the potential to just